ॐ बांग मे मनसि प्रतिष्ठिता मनो मे वाचि प्रतिष्ठितम् आविराविर्मयेधि वेदस्य आणीस्थः श्रुतं मे मा प्रहासि अनेनाधीतेनाहोरात्रान् सन्दधामि ऋतं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि तन्मामवतु तद्भक्तारमवतु अवतु माम् अवतु भक्तारमवतु भक्तारम् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरिः ॐ. May my speech be accorded with the mind. May my mind be accorded with the speech. O self-effulgent one Brahman, reveal thyself to me. May you both, speech and mind, be the carriers of the highest truth to me. May not all that I have heard depart from me. May I be able to join day and night through this study with Brahman. I shall utter what is verbally true. I shall utter what is mentally true. May that Brahman protect me. May that Brahman protect the teacher. May that protect me. May that protect the teacher. Om, peace, peace. Peace be unto you all. Good morning. This morning I am going to speak a little bit philosophical and psychological subject, which is very helpful not only in our spiritual life but also in our day-to-day life towards success. The need of an integrated life. When we were young, not young actually, when we were kids, our grandfather and grandma, they used to tell us one very common stories. There was a farmer, and that farmer had 10 sons. And they had a big paddy field. They used to grow crops and sell, and their family was good. They were economically sound and they were doing good. But the time came when this farmer is about to breathe his last, and then he called his sons, 10 sons. Then he told them, you see, I am passing away, but you will be here. You will grow paddy in this field, earn money, and live well. But one thing, do not quarrel each other. If you quarrel and if you separate from each other, then who can take care of this huge paddy field. So you should live in an integrated way. And then he gave 10 sons, each one small branch of a tree, small, just a section of a dry branch of a tree, very thin, and told them, please break it. And easily they broke it. Then he gave them a bundle of sticks, a bundle where there is 10 sticks. He gave them each one after another and told them to break it. But it was difficult because one stick is very easy to break. But when there is a bundle of 10 sticks, then it is very difficult to break. So none of them could break it. Then the father farmer advised them, see, if you live separately, independently, then anybody can come and overpower you. But if you live in integrated way, nobody can snatch your property and you could live well. So this integration is very important. And obviously the farmer, he taught his sons from the perspective of society, from the social point of view. Now, if it is important in social point of view, live in harmony, live in an integrated way. Take the case of an individual. In every aspect of life, if we want success, we need this integrated, focused way of thinking everything. If we cannot diverge our energy, if we cannot diverge our whole will to one point, we cannot get success. And Bhagavad Gita, long ago, Bhagavad Gita very specifically advised us this. In verse number 41 in the second chapter, very specifically Bhagavad Gita says, Vyavasayitmika buddhir ekeho kurunandana Bohushaka hyananyasya buddhayo avyavasayinam. Eka buddhi, that is, eka means one. Buddhi means focused. So the intellect of a perceiving aspirant is one-pointed. Those who are perceiving something to get success, their intellect is one-pointed. Whereas the intellect of unpersevering person is many-branched. So unless we have one-pointed focus to something, it is very difficult to get the success. In Katha Upanishad, we have another example, very beautiful example. The example of a chariot. A chariot is pulled by 5 horses. 5 horses means our 5 senses. And if these 5 horses pull the chariot in different direction, do you think the chariot can proceed? It is impossible, because 5 horses are pulling in 5 different directions. They should pull in one direction. Then only the chariot can proceed. And this kind of people is called those who have Shraddha. It is from Katha Upanishad also. Shraddha is translated in English faith, but it is not actually faith what we understand it. It is one-pointed. Shraddha must be one-pointed. So we know the one-point devotion, one-point concentration is required even in meditation. Although meditation is not the concentration, we have some misunderstanding that meditation and concentration are same, and synonymically we use meditation instead of meditation we say concentration. But meditation and concentration are not same. However, this is not the subject matter of this talk. So the point is this: we need one-pointed devotion, one-pointed concentration, one-pointed effort to get success of anything. And in spiritual life also it is required way more. Now the question is, why in different aspects of life, why can we not diverge our whole energy, will, focus to one point? And it is proved during our meditation, we have that kind of experience. During any work, we have that kind of experience. We cannot apply one-pointed will or one-pointed devotion to our any work. Why is that? And how can we get that one-pointed force to achieve some success? That is the subject matter of my talk in this morning. And the title is Need of an Integrated Life. It is easily understood that our life, if our focus is disintegrated and in different sections, we cannot concentrate it, we cannot diverge it. So need of an integrated life, not sometime. The whole life should be integrated. Then only we can success in our spiritual life. We can perform our meditation in a smoother way. So that is the point. To start with, I have to introduce you 2 words. One is ego and another is alienation. Let us understand, what does it mean by ego? Sri Ramakrishna very lucidly in his village language, he said there are 2 types of egos. One is higher ego, and he called it ripe I, and the lower ego he called it tender eye. So, or unripe eye. So, what is this I? What is this ego? This ego is I awareness. What is I awareness? Each of us has this I awareness. You are sitting here, but you are aware that you are sitting here and you are listening to my talk. This awareness is called ripe ego, the higher ego. This is the reflection of our self, Atman. This is the proof of our Atman, that it is there. Consciousness is there. If you do not have the consciousness, you cannot have this awareness. What we are doing, we are aware of that. And this is a very, very special. We do not take any, we do not give any importance to this thing, but it is very important thing in our spiritual life and in our day-to-day life. Animals, they do not have this awareness. That yes, I am sitting, I am listening. This is a different type of awareness. This awareness, animal doesn't have. So this is the I-ness. A small child, this awareness develops from the moment a child is born. When a child is born, immediately that child starts crying. What does it mean? It is definitely because of different climate, and so if there is different climate, why he or she is crying? Because he or she is uncomfortable and expressing his or her uneasiness. So some individuality is there. So they are expressing. When they are hungry, they cry. Because these are the expression of individuality. Then slowly, when that baby grows, a personality develops. What happens? This I awareness is identified with our senses, with the society, and with everything. Then another ego develops. Yes, I am saying this. I can do this. It is mine. I am the owner of this. This kind of baby, children, they do not have this kind of, only when they grow a little bit, they develop this kind of, it is my toy. Me and mine, they develop little afterwards. So this me and my develops, that is the lower ego. It is called egotism or egoism. This is bad. This is me and mine. Whenever we introduce ourselves, we never indicates I. Always our unconscious we introduce as me. Means my, I am, this is me, my body. I am, my mind. So this me and mind develops afterwards. This is the lower ego, or egoism or egotism. So these are two types of ego we have. One is the capital E ego, one is the small e ego. So egotism or egoism, generally me and mine and I, only the awareness is ego. Then what is alienation? The dictionary meaning of alienation is separation. Move away from one thing, isolated from one thing to another. And the psychologists, they applied it in the movement of mind. But there is a gulf of difference between Western thought and the Eastern thought of personality of a human being. The Western thought of personality of a human being is this: a human being has a body and they have a mind. And sometimes mind thinks good, divine, and sometimes mind is evil. This is the two dimensions of personality, dichotomy or dichotomy. But Indian concept of personality is trichotomy: body, mind, and behind body mind there is a third entity which is called Atman, or self, which is completely unperturbed, pure, eternal, self-effulgent. That is the Atman. So, according to Western concept, the alienation means a person is alienated from the society, from a group, isolated from the group. But according to the Eastern understanding of alienation means, especially from the point of view of psychology, when a person is alienated from the self, that is called real alienation. So what happens? The I awareness, ego, alienates from the self. So ego, after alienating from the self, acts as an independent source. So ego in ordinary human being, what we say, I am doing this, I shall do this, it is my property, it is my thing. So all these are the function of lower ego, egotism, and the alienated ego from the self. So the point is this: the real cause of self-alienation is the estrangement of one part of soul from another part. In most people, the ego is cut off from its own foundation, the inmost self. And that's why it differentiated in many parts and acts in different way. This is alienation. Now, how can we practice de-alienation or reintegration? We are one, the self is one. The ego is not alienated part of this. My ego, I am the only person, the consciousness is the only thing. That is what Sri Ramakrishna said. In this way, he gave the example, we have to give the full thing to it. If we want to buy some cloth which is worth of 16 annas, $1. We have to pay $1 to buy it. So that's the point. We have to give fullest, the 100% of our energy to get the success. So what shall we do? This is the mechanism. This is the alienation. Why we cannot concentrate? Because of this. There are two views of life. One is called analytical view of life, and another is synthetic or integral view of life. The analytical view of life, it says, like everything, there are different elements, The soul is also another type of element. It is among them. All are mutually compatible. The building, the trees, the animals, and the self. These are different kinds of elements. And consciousness is a rare incidental part of existence. This is the analytical view of life. And the function of this analytical view, if you ask these analytic people, how can we concentrate? How can we develop this one-pointed focus of mind? They will say, well, you can control the nature, the external nature, that is the cause of it. So Nyaya Vaisheshika of Indian philosophy, they are the supporter of this view. They are the followers of this view. And the Western science, they also are the follower of this view. But there is another view of life, which is called the synthetic view or integral view of life. It says that everything is coming out from the self. Self is the nucleus. Everything connected with the self. Consciousness is the fundamental reality. All problems are understood in their relation to one's own self, and their solution are sought primarily through the transformation of consciousness. Everything is coming out from consciousness. It is the Vedantic view. Everything is connected with consciousness. What we see, what we think, connected with ourself. Everything has to be judged from the point of view of self. How is that? Let me give you a few examples. Love is not mere emotion. It is the self-to-self contact. A married person may be faithful to his wife, but if he is unable to integrate herself to his, marriage will lose its ultimate meaning for him. If we can see everything from the point of view of self, we can get the inner meaning of that. And if we lose that inner meaning of this, life will become valueless, meaningless. So everything is connected with this life. Work is not mere activity. It is the expression of soul's creativity. A person may do his work sincerely, but if he is unable to integrate his work into the self, it will appear meaningless to him. Most of the time, it is the complaint, I like to do this, I want this kind of job. But unfortunately, in our workplace, we get another type of job. And we cannot express our creativity. We are unfulfilled, unhappy. Why? It is because we are unable to integrate our activity with ourselves. Because this work is nothing but the externalization of ourself. It is the creativity coming out from ourself. For a person whose inner life is well integrated, everything from the mighty sun to the lowly moss, from the Vedas to newspapers, from meditation to sweeping the floor, every person he meets, every experience, including sorrow, hardship, and humiliation, has a certain ultimate meaning in his life. He cannot do anything unless its meaning is clear to him. That is, unless he succeeds in integrating it into his own self. For him, his room or house is not mere a dwelling place, but the external representation of his mind. The books that he owns or read is not mere the source of information, but the externalization of his own experience. Unless we can integrate everything to ourself, we will become disintegrated. The people whom he loves become images of his own self. There is nothing superficial or casual about him, as his whole life is anchored in the innermost self. So this anchor is required. Everything, all problems of life should be understood in relation to ourself. Everything is coming out from ourself, percolating through the mind and ego. This is the fundamental bottom line. If we do not have the consciousness, we are a dead person. Maybe we have a mind, we have brain, everything is intact, but the consciousness is not there. If electricity is not there, how much decoration you do, nothing is going to happen. Your fittings, your different color bulbs, your brackets, nothing is going to happen. So everything, this is alienation. If we are unable to integrate this, and this is going through the ego. So first level is to integrate the ego, two egos, the ego and the egotism. That is the first step. And then the second step, to integrate this ego with the self. These are the things, this guarding in all religions of the world we find. They identified this particular thing, this integration process. And if we see in Christianity, it is said the guarding the heart we find in Philakolia. In Buddhism, we find it is called Samyak Smriti, or sometimes it is called in Pali Sati. This guarding, this awareness, this integration. And Vedanta, obviously, they call it Viveka, discrimination. And there are different levels of disintegration. The sacred and secular, we find this disintegration. We find disintegration in monastic life and household life. We find individual and society, this alienation. This selfishness and this selflessness, we find this alienation. These are the impact of this integration, this disintegration. And then we find the real life and the unreal life. It is not possible to describe the whole thing, all this level of integrations right now. I shall only refer, only one example I can refer, and that is, I would say, the real life and the unreal life. There are two types of unreal life. Generally, we are alienated from the real life and unreal life. So there are two types of unreal life. One unreal life is this: people love to see televisions, they love to read different fictions. At one time there was James Bond 007. So there are a lot of fantasy and comics and thrill, a lot of things. So this is one type of unreal. So these people, they want to live in this unreal life. They like this kind of fantasy, thrill, suspense. They like this. So they want to live in this fantasy. From books, from televisions, from different sources, outside sources, mass medias. Another type of unreal life, that is the real unreal life. And that is the alienation from our aspiration to real life. There are, I have already mentioned just now, there are plenty of people, their aspiration in their childhood, in their student life is something. But afterwards they found that where is our aspiration? The real life is completely different. Some, they wanted to become artist, painter. But in real life, he has to work in a factory. Somebody wanted to become music artist or writer, but in real life they have to do the police work. So see the different, this alienation. So how can these people alienate it? And how can they integrate this kind of real and unreal life? So for them, the whole thing is kind of unreal, meaningless. So how they can do that? And in spiritual life also, we try to be spiritual, but my work, my reality, my real life is a kind of completely opposite. How can I do this? It is very difficult. We, before our joining in this monastic life, we faced this, a terrible alienation. Whether we have to get rid of this work or we have to get rid of this practice, spiritual practices. This was a huge challenge. Those who have faced it, they can understand this. If the challenge is between the two social things, that can be managed. But if there is a challenge between the spiritual life and the worldly life or some real in the society, it is very, very challenging. It is very, very challenging. So, and they try, it is not that. And sometimes what happens, few people, they repress it and they try to hide it, and how they can do it. So, they sometimes play some unethical role, unauthentic role to suppress their original say of their soul. They are very good, they are in outside, they are very good, but inside they are alienated. Their real soul is crying, but externally they are very happy, they are very friendly. So this alienation, that means, and they are trying to catch up. But this unauthentic life does not mean the hypocritical life. We have to understand this. It is not hypocrisy. They are trying to do it always. Most of those whose lives are unauthentic, especially the spiritual seekers, are sincere in their effort, but they have repressed their real inborn tendencies and desires. It is a great challenge. And most of the people we know, we have the examination only 2 days, but there is a Super Bowl. What to do? The tug of war. Whether we shall study or the Super Bowl. In which side shall we go? So these are the great challenge. How to integrate one-pointed focus. That is very, very important. So the thing is this. We have to go, I have already mentioned that first level is this. We have to understand. We have to understand it is intelligence. That is why in Bhagavad Gita it is said, Babhushayit Mika Buddhi. This Buddhi has a special name. We have to discriminate. In Vedanta, it is a discrimination. Buddha called it Samyak Smriti. And in Christianity we find is guarding. So we have to guard. We have to think, discriminate that what is me and mine, what is the lower ego and the higher ego, and ultimately what we have to do. We cannot eliminate everything because these are part and participle. It is part and parcel of our consciousness. We cannot eliminate our consciousness. We cannot eliminate our mind. Can we eliminate our mind? As long as we are human being, we have to have mind. So what we have to do? We have to elevate our consciousness. We have to elevate our consciousness. First, this ego and egotism, we have to understand what is the difference between ego and egotism. We have to integrate that. We have to eliminate our egotism. Eliminate means awakening ego. We have to awaken our ego. We have to discriminate what is me and mine, what is lower ego. When our ego is disconnecting ourselves, that we have to understand what is me and mine. As for example, there are various examples. One example is this. I am Mr. X is good, but I am a policeman, I am a monk. That is egotism. When you are connecting with your post, with your designation, that is false. You are a man, you are a person, you are a human being. Wonderful. You has a name. Wonderful. But when I am connecting with something, that gives us pain. What is that something? That something is our designation. I am a son, I am a husband, I am a father, I am a friend, I am a student, I am a devotee, I am a monk. So, these are all designations. There is a beautiful story. A officer was there, and that officer always turned his nameplate on his table towards himself. Say his name is Mr. So and so. So his nameplate he always turned towards himself. So people were asking, why you are turning your nameplate this side? It should be other side, So people can see and identify you, you are Mr. So and so. So you used to reply that, you see, I turn it towards myself. It is because I don't want to forget that I am this. Sometimes I forget, and sometimes I think that I am the manager, I am the boss, I am the subordinate. So I don't want to forget I am so and so, and that's all. So when we are identified with all these designations, all these things, that means, and I can give you thousands of examples, the conflict. Thousands of examples of conflict. As a friend, you are very happy. But as a son, you are very sad. Take the example. In one same day, Mr. X's son got the prize, first prize from the school. On the same day, his friend passed away. So Mr. X will be happy or sad? It's a conflict. So as a father, he is very happy. When he is identifying himself with father, he is very happy. But when he is identifying with the friend, he is sad. But he is an individual. He is so many things. Father, friend, son, husband, so many things. So this identification is suffering, is the function of ego. Ego is very disguising. So first we have to integrate this ego. And then we have to integrate the ego with the self. How can we do it? Think what I have said. That connect everything from the self. Think it is the self-expression. Always we try to connect with ego. That's the problem. This is alienated already. So sadhana, what is sadhana actually? The sadhana is the flow of one's whole life towards a spiritual ideal. Flow of whole life towards a single spiritual ideal. And again, we talk about yoga. And these yogas are different. 4 yogas. How can? There is no integration. So see, everywhere is the confusion. So we have to integrate all yogas. These yogas are not separate, watertight compartment. These are vertically aligned. The whole Vedantic concept is vertically aligned. Always we have to think vertically, not horizontally. Our normal thought process is horizontal thinking, vertical thinking. All yogas are different levels. It is not disintegrated in a horizontal way. This is karma yoga, this is bhakti yoga, this is, all are separate. Not like that. All are vertically arranged. First karma yoga, then we have elevated to another yoga, bhakti yoga or jnana yoga, then the other yoga. So all these are the different levels. If we can think in this way, then only this understanding has to be put into practice in order to convert one's whole life into sadhana. Sadhana is the flow of our whole energy to attain one single spiritual ideal. That is called sadhana. So in conclusion, it may be pointed out that all attempts at leading an integrated life and converting one's entire life into an undivided consecration will be only partially successful until we are becoming one with our own self. That is the ultimate, and that can be done through buddhi or dhi. That is why in Indian philosophy, buddhi, thought, viveka, discrimination, also are 4 types. Nowhere you can find the buddhi, intelligence is 4 types. Different. The first is smriti, memory. In school, we call this guy is very intelligent. What does it mean? He has a very good memory. He can memorize things very well. So smriti is the first layer. Then buddhi or medha, higher kind of intellect, medha. the Einstein, Newton, they have higher level of medha. They can understand. By reading, they can understand the world is open before them. They can understand medha. Now dhriti, another level of intellect. And last is called dhi. That is a spiritual insight. For spiritual thing, an outstanding, very, very special intellect is required. In Bhagavad Gita, you find all these different levels of buddhi. Dhi, dhriti, medha, everything is there. And the Bhagavad Gita gives the explanation, the definition of that. What does it mean? So the highest one is the dhi. We need this kind of dhi, the expression of dhi. We have to awaken dhi. The Gayatri mantra, we are familiar with the Gayatri mantra. The second line of the Gayatri mantra, dhiyo yonaf prachodayat. This dhi. Gayatri mantra also is prayer. The aspirant is praying to Savitri, sun, that dhiyo yonaf prachodayat, please initiate me by the support of dhi. Please give me the dhi, the power of dhi, the spiritual inside buddhi. And through that, I can attain. Initiate me with that. Then we can attain the goal. So that is required. This awakening of ego, then integration of the higher self, and that will come by the realization of the self, that is very high level and spiritual. See, the whole thing, integration, has been explained from the point of view of self. So this is also connected with the self. Everything in our life, if we can integrate it with the self, think everything from the point of view of self, and eliminate our designation, our connection of self with any other things. Practice it. And because of that, buddhi is required. Awakening ego, awakening buddhi is required. Pray. Gayatri mantra is the prayer. So this prayer is required to get this kind of buddhi. Bhagavad Gita, it says, Vyavashayatmika buddhi. So we need this buddhi. Do you have any question? Yes, please.
Swami, in society creates a lower self from the beginning, from our birth, and keeps going. And that lower self suffers a lot. And in psychology, maybe you use the term adaptation. You adapt to certain places and act in a certain way because you are in this place, not that place. And it's I can see it's really delusional because I'm not expressing my true self, and if I am able to show my true self, then I could be like radiating from inside out. And so is adaptation a way to in this world or not? I guess it's lower for the lower self.
Yes, you are right. So please remember, this social adaptation, the survival of the fittest, and these different adaptations, these are applicable mainly right now for the animals, for the plants, not for the human being. Probably human being has attained the ultimate level of their adaptation. I told you there are two types of view of the world. One is analytical view. These people, they try to control the nature first to live freely. That is the science, modern science. In Indian philosophy, Nyaya and Vaisheshikas. But other is the integrating view or synthetic view. This kind of view, it says everything is the expression of self and everything is connected with the self. Nature has also this. Individual is connected with the bigger self, is the cosmos, cosmic self. So this cosmic self and this individual self is built on the same plane. They are dynamically connected. So if there is any kind of external thing that must be taken care of by this analytical point of view, but the synthetic point of view, mainly they are thinking of the inner adaptation, of the inner existential point of view. The best thing is your existence. They are thinking about your existence, how you can exist comfortably in relation with the society, in relation with this cosmos. That is the important thing. So all these external adaptation, these are generally for the lower people, lower kind of animal or plant or this kind of thing. But for human being, yes, these are sometimes is required. But now human beings are well evolved, scientifically advanced. So now they have to take care of their inner environment. Definitely external environment is important, but the inner environment is also very important. Otherwise, you cannot keep a good relation with the external environment. If you cannot control see, two types of views. To keep harmony with the external world, you may control the external world. That is one point of view. The second point of view, you can control yourself and keep harmony with the external world. These are the two views. So I am the supporter of this second view. Control yourself and keep steady, because nothing is in your hand. You cannot control anybody. Can you control anybody? But you can control yourself. Control yourself and keep harmony with the external life. Thank you. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramaya, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschit Dukkham Apnuat, Sarvastarotu Durgani, Sarvo Bhadrani Pashyatu, Sarva sadbuddhimapnotu, Sarva sarvatra nandatu, Durjana sajjano bhuyat, Sajjana shantimapnuat, Shantamuccheti bandhebhyo, Muktuschanyan vimochayet. May all be happy. May all enjoy good health. May all see happy events. May all be freed from miseries. May all be freed from dangers. May all realize what is good. May all be actuated by noble thoughts. May all rejoice everywhere. May the wicked become virtuous. May the virtuous attain tranquility. May the tranquil be free from bondages. May the freed make others free. May the Supreme Spirit, the presiding deity of all sacred activities, be satisfied. For He being pleased, the whole universe feels satisfied. Peace, peace. Peace be unto you all. We have few announcements. Next Sunday, 25th June, we have last Sunday service before summer recess. So in next June, we have the talk, Truth of Success. Swami Prasannatmananda will deliver this talk. And then we have two announcements. We have two events right now in our pipeline. One is 4th July. On 4th July, we have whole day a retreat here from 10:30 to 4:30. There will be meditation. There will be devotional songs. There will be recitations, musical, means the instrumental music, and there will be spiritual talks by 6 Swamis. So whole day, back-to-back program, and the theme, the Catholicity in Swami Vivekananda's message. This is the theme, Catholicity in Swami Vivekananda's message. So I request you all to participate with your family, friends and acquaintances. Then on 15th and 16th July, we have meditation workshop at San Jose. So the whole day meditation workshop from 10:30 to 4:30. 2 days, Saturday and Sunday. For that you have to register in our Facebook, website and regular bulletins. You have the link. So for that you have to register. Seats are limited. So those who are interested, please try to fill up as early as possible. And 2 days are mandatory. Thank you. As usual, tea and coffee will be served from the Saradananda Hall, which will be followed by Prasad luncheon. You all are requested to join. Thank you.